Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to day 38 of Commercial Diving School. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Remember to leave a like if you enjoyed and leave any comments or questions for me down below. Now, for today, breakfast, we had eggs and corned beef hash, and then we immediately started to set up our dive station because we were diving today. Um, right after we set up our dive station, we got divers in the water. Now, I was not in the first group today. So basically, I was standing by for my group. Like I said in my previous videos, we had 5 people in our group. We had our own company name. We had our own, packet that we were coming up with for our NDT testing. And for that, basically, we're coming up with dimensions of the things that we're inspecting underwater. So the things that we're inspecting was one of them is a boat. I think it's kind of like a fishing boat, like one of those small aluminum fishing boats that the school previously, I don't know how many years ago, I think they filled the bottom of it with cement to purposely, weigh it down and sink it to the bottom. I think it's about 10 to 15 feet sitting on the bottom of the river. It's in a really muddy area, and when you actually step on the bottom where the boat is, you're basically stepping through mud, basically all the way like past your knee. So about 3 or 4 feet deep, like of mud where the boat is, and basically we're supposed to like use arm lengths to determine, how long is it, are there any, distinctive features of it, basically practicing how to um, tell somebody what we're looking at underwater. We're relaying to the topside guy on comms, how long is it, how big is it, how deep is it, all of this stuff, as much information as we can, really, because you're a company trying to relay all this information to a client. So, pretty interesting how all that works, but non-destructive testing is really big in commercial diving. Like there's a lot of it everywhere. Like I mentioned before, I've seen, you know, ads or positions or companies, looking for NDT or non-destructive testing, level 1, level 2. So those jobs are out there. So it's a really big deal. So it's really good to learn this stuff and kind of, get an introduction. We are just beginning on this stuff. Like, we are just barely being introduced to the world of non-destructive testing at, commercial diving school. So, but anyways, there's a second sunken thing majig in the water, and they call it a barge, but really it's kind of like a box that's like each side is about half an inch thick of metal. And basically, if you took four, um, you know, flat pieces of sheet metal and you welded them together to make a box, and then you welded a bottom on it, that's kind of what it is. It's kind of just like a big box. From what I observed, it was about 12 feet long by like 12 or 5 feet wide, and then it has like loops on it, like pad eyes, or handles for you to rig up to, so you can like rig up to it, and then would be able to lift it out of the water with like a crane or something like that. So that is the other thing that's sunken down there that we were supposed to inspect and get the dimensions on and everything. For my dive, I dove after lunch. And for lunch today, it was spaghetti and meatballs and mixed vegetables. It was okay. But yeah, I didn't eat too much lunch. I had a lot of the salad though. I tried the salad for the first time because they have a full like salad bar at the school. So I tried more of that than I did the meatballs and everything. But anyway, back to the diving. So it was my turn to dive. Um, I jumped in and immediately I noticed where we were on the dive station was a lot more muddy, like I was saying. So I was just basically like every step was like knee deep in mud. Um, and so you have like the top layer of the mud, and then you're stepping like all the way down, like, and then your foot finally hits something like solid, and your boot almost gets like sucked off every time you take a step. The mud almost suctions off your boot every time, and your boots are gonna get. Well, my boots got filled with like sand and gravel and mud and stuff like that, and um, you can barely see. Like you can maybe see like a foot in front of you with the amount of light getting down to the depth that you're at, which is probably like maybe like 8 feet at eye level. And but once you kick up that mud, it just completely like takes out all your light. Like it just looks like all dark, and it's kind of eerie. You get kind of an eerie feeling because you'll see this darkness and it'll kind of feel like a figure is there or something's in the water, or like, you know, there's supposed to be manatees around where we are and stuff like that. But people say they see fish. People say they see like, oh, there was a manatee, and I'm like, yeah, right. Like, I'm pretty sure like the way things are, like fish and sharks and manatees and crocodiles, alligators, like all that kind of stuff. I'm pretty sure they hate to be around other things. Like, I'm pretty sure if there was like a metal, weird human structure in the water, you know, blowing bubbles and everything, like they don't like that. They just want to, you know, avoid basically that kind of thing. So, but it kind of still feel like when you're in the water, it still feels like something's right there, especially when like you get the brush of like cold water on you. You're like, is something, you know, swimming next to me or something? So, but it was kind of weird because other divers were checking out the same like barge I was checking out at the same time. So you'd kind of like run into each other and you freak each other out. And I know I get freaked out. And then I think I freaked the other diver out because I like reached out and they like, you know, they'll like pull their hand back like real fast or something. Like, oh, what was that? um, but yeah, so I basically, what's cool about the water too is you can like you can get in the barge and then you can kind of walk along the edge of it too, because it's about, you know, 4 foot high, so you can kind of go up and stand on top of it and walk around the perimeter. And we were supposed to take readings on it. So what I mean by that is there's something in non-destructive testing called an ultrasonic, I forget the T, but it uses basically like high frequency sound waves to determine how thick like a piece of metal is. So basically you take like, it's a long wire hooked to like basically what would you call that, a digital readout where it has, you know, it'll digitally tell you how thick something is. So you basically put the probe like on something, and then the wire will go all the way to top side, and they'll say like, hey, put it on something that you want to read, and then as a diver you'll be like, okay, I'm ready, and then they'll take the reading up top side and tell you how thick the metal is that you put the probe onto. So that's one thing, that another reading or bit of information. Like I said, you're trying to get as much information as you can. We didn't get to mess with the magnetic tester. I forget the name of it, but it's like a magnetic particle tester or something like that. But basically, it uses electricity to create an electromagnetic field, um, and basically you sprinkle like iron dust like on like a crack or something, and the magnetic field will pull all of the iron particles into the crack. It's just how magnets or magnetic fields work, but they do that to see exactly where the crack is and how big it is and how deep. And like you'll in real world you'll have a camera on, and the camera will show the topside guys like, you know, exactly what the structure damage is. And so that's like your whole purpose being down there, is to find any defects in the structure you're looking at. So we learned about that, but we didn't get to use it today. And then basically I was down there for about an hour and a half, and then they said, okay, you know, go ahead and come up. And then we ended up cleaning up the dive station early today, and then going back to the classroom and doing our debrief and filling out our dive logs, which you do every time you complete a dive. You'll have a dive sheet that you fill out, or your dive sheet gets filled out by the guy on comms talking to you as the diver, and then you'll take your dive sheet and you'll use that to transfer the information to your dive log, and both the sheet and the dive log get signed by your instructor, signing that dive off for you. So that was basically everything we did for today. That's all I got for you guys, so stay tuned. Tomorrow I know we're going to do more classroom stuff, so if you want to find out what we do, then stay tuned for that. This weekend, obviously I'm going to do the week 8 recap, and then on Sunday I'll probably do the month 2 of commercial diving school recap. So recapping the whole entire second month, because we're already going to be juniors next week. Junior mod is going to be exciting because we're going to do like welding and stuff like that at the very end, and lots more diving, so stay tuned for that. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and you know, leave a likes, like I said, if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you haven't already, and leave any comments or questions for me down below. I hope you guys have a great one. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.